Thank you for tuning in to the Candidly Crawford radio show here on WDRB Media. I'm your host, Teresa.
And it's your boy, Nick.
And we are Candidly Crawford. All about God, marriage, life, and everything in between. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us tonight. We hope that you tune in with us every Thursday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or if you can't catch us live, head on over to the Candidly Crawford YouTube channel. That's right. Just head on over to YouTube, type in Candidly Crawford, and you can find all of the previously broadcasted episodes there, along with some of our other stuff from our podcast and just a little bit more about us. So head on over there to join us and also connect with us on social media, where
at Candidly Crawford everywhere. We have TikTok, we got Instagram, we have Facebook. What other social media apps do we have? YouTube.
I just said YouTube.
Oh,
yeah.
I got excited for nothing.
Well, guys, let me tell y'all something. We're going to apologize in advance because we've had a very trying work day. It's been one of those days. So we're recording so we could go ahead and fellowship with you guys and just maybe step away from our work for just a moment to get this
get this show on the road.
But yes.
But family, we've been gone for a week.
Yes, so last week, we took a little break because, we had family celebrations with graduations and everything. And also,
we celebrated our 2nd year anniversary.
Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah, so we took a break. We wanted to enjoy each other, enjoy our family, just, have our own personal spring break.
We did. We had our own personal spring break, and actually it was incredible. Now, if you haven't listened to the previous episodes, we did have a trip planned for our anniversary. We usually try to travel out of the country every year for our anniversary, but this year God gave us a wonderful gift. We are closing on our new home in a couple of weeks, and we are super excited. So we decided that, hey, the house is the gift, and we're going with God with that. Yeah. And we'll take a trip later on this year. But we are just super excited of how God thought so much of us to bless us with this blessing. It is more than enough room in that house, and we're just grateful. So tonight's show, should I say, is actually, we're going to reflect on the past 2 years of matrimony.
Yeah, it's been 24 months since we said I do.
It has been, and we've learned quite a bit of lessons along the way. Just more about ourselves, and then just us drawing closer to God and us drawing closer together. So that's what we're going to share with you on tonight. Basically, just the lessons learned within these past 24 months of wedded bliss.
Right. So, stick with us. We're going to share on how it's been the two of us, and we are growing together. Do you think we're growing together?
We are most definitely growing together. I don't think we would even have this radio show if we weren't.
Man, when I think about us, I think of a song, and it goes like this: just the two of us.
All right, I'm going to spare y'all. We're going to cut to break. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, obviously you can see that our 24 months have been quite comical as well, and this is every day, y'all. Like, seriously, we really enjoy each other. So laughter is the best medicine. But
yeah, just stay tuned. We'll be back with some stories, some situations, how God has brought us through. So stay tuned. We'll be back.
Bye. Well, no, don't bye. Stay tuned.
We are Candidly Crawford Radio, all about God, marriage, life, and everything in between.
Tune in every Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern as we candidly share our thoughts and experiences on life and relationships with a few laughs too. Interested in growing your business by advertising on our radio show? Need a dynamic duo or host to speak at your event? Connect with us. Email us at candidlycrawford@gmail.com or at Candidly Crawford on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. And we are back. Thank you for tuning in to the Candidly Crawford radio show. I'm your host, Teresa.
And it's your boy, Nick.
And we are Candidly Crawford, all about God, marriage, life, and everything in between. So before we went to break, we said that we have just celebrated 24 months of wedded bliss.
And
we actually, tonight's show, we're just going to share with you just some lessons learned, and hopefully you guys can take away, what we've learned and what we've endured and how we overcame to help you, whether it's in your relationship, friendships. I don't think it just applies to marriage, but just to any relationship in particular. So I'm gonna have Nick to kick us on off.
Yeah, so these 24 months have been great. It's been full of ups and downs, joys, and life lessons. So my question to you, Teresa, and you can ask me after you answer your question, is in 2021, January 1st, how did you see your life being for the next 5 years?
Wow, that is an excellent question. We began our courtship November of 2020 during the pandemic. And I would say starting January 2021, for the next 5 years, to be honest, I did ask God, I did want to be married within 5 years, remarried, because I was divorced then. Definitely married with a house, starting a family. Being very satisfied with my job as far as I'm feeling fulfilled with my job. Never in a million years did I think that we will have a podcast and a radio show, which has blown my mind. Oh man, that's a very good question just to reflect on. But those are some of the key things I would say. I wanted to be remarried. I wanted to start a family, and I wanted to buy a house with my husband. And those were the key things. I was like, okay, God, hey, maybe within these 5 years, if you see fit, can we go ahead and get the ball rolling on that? And all of this has happened
within 4.
Yeah. And the thing is, in 2021, I kind of knew you was going to be my husband, but I wasn't for sure. So at that time, it was just like, all right, for me, I would want to have met a very nice gentleman, engaged, marriage, then starting a family, new house, all of that within that 5-year span. So I would say by 2026, I was just like, all right, God, that's kind of what I'm aiming for. But got married in 2022. Me and my husband are closing on our house in 2024. And we're definitely working on baby Crawford. So it's just like, God is very strategic. I would say that he's very strategic. His plans always supersedes our plans. And the way that it happened, a lot of this stuff happened very quickly. It wasn't on my timeline per se, but that's what happens when you instill your faith and trust in God to let him do what he do.
Yes. So I know you didn't ask me the question, but
I'm getting ready to ask you the question right now.
I was already answering it because it's so funny, but it's so true. Like, those were my exact points where I saw myself in I had a 2, 5, 10 year plan. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because I shared it with you when we were dating. And just hearing it reminds me on how faithful God is, because we came together almost on one accord from day one.
We actually did. I feel like we meshed so well together. It was kind of scary at first, because I was just like, all right, God, am I being punked? Because this ain't funny.
Yeah, and so it's crazy to hear, but I get happy because I'm like, Lord, everything that I've written down, my goals, they have lined up with your will, and they're happening faster than what I thought they were going to happen.
Oh, very. It happened expeditiously, I would say that.
So 2021, I had wrote these goals out. Shout out to my friend TT. We were both single then, and we were talking about our future, and she was like, hey, just write your goals out. What you want to happen in 2 years, 5 years, and 10 years. Just write it on some paper and go from there. And it was funny because I wrote these things on paper, And I had him in my phone for a while. And then I met Teresa. Well, first of all, the pandemic came, right? And so the pandemic came, and we were out here trying to date via Zoom and FaceTime and stuff like that. And from the start of the pandemic, nothing that I was trying to do virtually was working. It was one lady that I was interested in, and I drove to a winery. We were gonna have a date, and she didn't show up, and she dumped me. And it was...
I'm glad she dumped you, because now I got you.
Hey, it is what it is. I'm glad she dumped me too. But, things that I was trying, and, at that time, after those failed attempts of dating, I gave up on dating that way. And I was like, God, however you want me to date, who you want me to date, I'm going to put it in your hands, because me messing with it always messes it up. And so that's when, Teresa came around. And Teresa, to be honest, we've been following each other on social media for a couple of years, but never nothing serious. I wasn't, trying to hit on her or slide in her DMs before that, up until October 2020.
Yeah, the Lord knew, because I was going through my divorce and then my recovery period after that. So the Lord knew. Yeah. That's why we didn't connect before then.
And so it was funny, because she would cook things on Instagram. I'm like, ooh, she can cook.
I could do a little something.
That's what people say when they know they can throw down. Like, I could do a little something. But she was cooking, and that was an interest of mine. I like cooking, so we would connect on that. And then I remember one conversation and going to sleep, and then waking up hoping that she would respond, because we were still going back and forth via Twitter. But we was talking about my nephew dog, and I was telling her what type of dog I was watching, and she was telling me about her dog. I sent her a picture of my nephew dog, and she sent me a picture of her dog, and we was just sharing. And I was like, man, I hope she responds, in the morning, because this was a good conversation. And so that's when I was like, okay, well, she keep on responding, I'm gonna have to, get them digits. So, fast forward to now, as you can see, I got them digits. I got something else too. But most importantly,
no, you didn't.
Most importantly, I got that hand in marriage. So, yeah, that was, my trajectory. My plan was to do all of this that we're doing now.
Yeah, but within 5 years, but it happened way before then.
Yeah, and that was one thing that we both, that was one thing that we were not on the same page on, how fast this relationship was going to go.
That's true.
But we quickly got on the same page, because Teresa made what she wanted well known to me.
For one, y'all, let me tell y'all something. I'm in my 40s. I don't have time to be playing no games. It's just like, look, I stuck just like Nick, prior to the pandemic or prior to meeting him, I was trying to dip my little toe back out in the dating pool. I done recovered from my divorce. I'm like, okay, God, I think I'm finally ready to kind of get out there. Okay, no, it's not what I wanted. I was like, all right then, God, it's just me and you, because this ain't happening. But I know we told all of this in one of our previous episodes when we were talking all about the Crawfords. So, but just to fast forward, to see how fast God moved is really mind-blowing. Because it's just like, when you give up your will, your wants, your timing for God's, I'm telling you, y'all, he could fast track that thing so quick, to the point to where, like, the scripture in Amos 9:13 in the Message version, where it says things will start happening so fast your head will swim. And that's basically what's been going on for Nick and I. Like, we started our podcast based off of back in my apartment when we were dating.
Yeah.
we were sending a birthday shout out to my sister just testing out a new ring light that I had. And we were just being silly as usual, recording ourselves. And it is like right then God was like, oh, y'all are going to record, y'all going to do something with this, so I need y'all to be prepared. And I'm looking like, all right, God, we ain't even married yet, like what you talking about? What you talking about, Willis? But it was just like God gave me a glimpse of what's to come with that. And then once we got married, Candidly Crawford was born. We started out with our podcast. Never thought in a million years it would be a radio broadcast as well. And it just fast tracked. I didn't know it. And all the time God was already preparing me, because, previously I had my own podcast and my blog at the time, which was Theezy's Voyage, and podcast was Theezy Under Grace. And, even though that was for me, me using what God had gifted me to do, and now for me to be doing it alongside my husband, like, you couldn't tell me that this would be happening within the time that it has happened. And I thank God for that.
Yeah. So, and I thank God that we are in this space right now. So I got another question for you, Teresa.
Yes.
What's one thing that you thought was going to be difficult in marriage, but it hasn't been?
Honestly speaking, and I know we talked about this, I think we did a podcast on this. We actually did a 2-part podcast on this. It was called Healthy Boundaries. And honestly, and this is no offense to anyone, because I've been living away from my family for a little over 20 years now. My sister is here in the city with me, her and her husband. Hey Bean, hey Joey.
What up, people? It's just like with us, how we grew up, we're close knit, but we have such a large family on both sides, on my mom and dad's side. Excuse me. So like with us, like we would have get-togethers kind of, it was sparingly, we would get together. But for our immediate family, of course, it was, we saw them. And then even when we were living in the same city, it was just like, okay, hey, we talk every day. Just like now, me, mom, dad, we talk quite often, in Tawana. I call her Beanie, y'all, so that's who Beanie is, my sister. But I thought it was going to be difficult, I'm not going to lie, when I met Nick's family, because they are super tight-knit. And when I say, y'all heard me say this before, they have a get-together for everything. Baby's first step, tooth, whatever have you. I love y'all. But it's a get-together for everything. And I was just like, okay, I don't even know how I'm going to manage this, because I love y'all. I just saw y'all last week. Wow.
And then it's more and more, like, the summers heat up, y'all. Like, it's just like 5 birthdays a month. It's a lot. And so I'm just like, I don't work hard all week. I love y'all. Not that I don't love y'all. Not that I don't want to spend time with y'all. But sometimes I just want to be in the bed, sleep, because I had a rough work week. And it's like I said, it's no offense against anybody. I'm just not used to that. And that's not how I grew up. So for me, it has been an adjustment period. So I thought that would be difficult for me to adjust to. And actually, it has not been difficult at all, because that was one of my main concerns. I was like, oh, Lord, how am I going to adjust to this? But I thank God for your family. Like, they are super loving. I love y'all so much. Super loving, very supportive, a great village to have. So I thought that would be difficult for me to adjust to, and it wasn't. Not at all. Not like I thought it would be. So, I thank God for that. And I'm going to ask you the same question. What did you think would be the most difficult thing going into a marriage?
So I think the thing that I thought about that was going to be difficult, but it hasn't been, was sharing my space with another person, because in my adult years, I've never shared space with the opposite sex. Even when I had a roommate, we had boundaries, and it was cool, but sharing a space.
But it was your family, though. That was your roommate. It wasn't nobody else.
Right. I mean, we had a third roommate, but yeah, it was my family. And so it was cool, but sharing space with the opposite sex and, I can't leave, or I can't just be like, I need space and not say anything, that I thought that would be difficult because, there are times where I'd be like, well, I just need some space. Let me just go to myself. And I know I can be that loner. But I always try to remember that, somebody's here, somebody who wants to spend time with you is here and stuff like that. So that was, my biggest worry, because I was like, I'm used to this. I'm a person who is calculated. So if I'm getting up at 6:30, I want to turn music on, all of this. And now there's somebody in my space who won't allow me to turn music on before 10 o'clock.
I like to sleep in, y'all.
So it's like, okay, how am I going to adjust to this? And I think I've adjusted pretty well. Do you think so?
I think you've adjusted very well, honestly, with this. And I would say, some just real quick, before we wrap up this segment, I would say the question I'm going to ask you, what are some life lessons that both of us have grown through, some challenges we've overcome? What would you say what have you learned within the past 2 years when it comes to the difficult times and the challenges that we did face?
The great pastor Sean Carter, aka Jazzy, said this in a song. He said, "Oh wow!" He said, "Nobody wins when the family feuds." Right. So, one thing that I learned is like we're on the same team, so we're not arguing. We may have disagreements, but an argument determines a winner and a loser. And I don't want you to win. I don't want to lose in the argument. So that's one thing that I've learned, and it helps me approach everything that we do, even though it may be challenging, just to know that I have my teammate and not somebody I'm battling or beefing. It helps me to understand that we can get through it together because we're rooting for each other. We're not rooting against each other.
Right. We on the same team. And I can attest to that. We don't have arguments. We don't do the cold shoulder, cold silent treatment. We don't do any of that. Like, before we lay our head down at night, all of our issues for that day is resolved. Like, that's one thing that we vow to do, and one thing I thank God that He has allowed us to keep doing and keep implementing, which is why we're able to continue to have a lot of fun in our marriage as well. I would say for me, aside from that, is just learning how to extend grace. And it's not just to you, Nick, as my husband, but the lessons that I'm learning here in marriage are lessons that I'm learning to also implement into my friendships and my familial relationships as well. And
hopefully you extend grace to yourself.
That's good.
Because that's one thing that I've realized as being a husband, you're not going to get it right all the time. And some people can be perfectionists, but extend grace to yourself. Understand that person that you sleep with, they love you too. So if you don't get it right all the time,
that you're married to.
Yeah, married to, sleep with, same thing. And
it's not the same thing. You have to be specific, but
extend grace to me right now in this moment. So yeah, you're not going to get it right all the time, and so learn to extend grace to everybody, including yourself.
That's good, because I think oftentimes we are so focused on extending grace to others that we often forget to extend grace to ourselves. And I can tell you from I think 2 broadcasts ago, we were talking about insecurities. The insecurities that we spoke about when it comes to each other. I think, I don't remember if we did mention that in those in that particular radio broadcast where we talked about, did we talk about extending grace to ourselves when it comes to our insecurities? I think we briefly mentioned it, but I don't think we really touched on that. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that is something that we all should keep in the forefront of our minds, before we, extend grace to others, just as God extends His mercies and grace to us every day. And grace is that unmerited favor. So basically, I think we need to do a better job of doing it as humans. We need to do a better job to extend grace to ourselves, because we're not perfect. even though social media paints this picture or whatever, we're not perfect, y'all. Like, no one here on earth is perfect. And I think we are a lot harder on ourselves than need be. So that's good. Thank you for bringing that up, babe.
Yeah, no problem. That's one thing that I really have to, do for myself as well as you. And once I can do it for myself, I can give you grace even more. So, yeah.
And then just realize sticking closer to God, that can allow you to release and extend that grace, that forgiveness to others. I think that is also a key as well, is sticking close to God. And that's how we've been able to get through these 24 months.
Yeah.
It's been all God.
God, for us, is like the person who builds the house, who knows the ins and outs of our marriage and stuff like that. So he's the builder, and we ask that his hand, continue to stay an intricate part of our marriage.
Yes, and in everything that we do, including this radio broadcast, because what you guys don't hear or see is Nick and I, we pray before we even record this broadcast. So one thing I will say, the takeaways for us is, 1, extend grace to yourself. 2, always keep God first. Even though people say that all the time, like, keep God first, keep God first. No, we really mean it. Like, he has to be included in every detail of your life. Some things, as humans, we kind of let it go to the wayside. Like, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Make sure you are including God, because I'm telling you, Nick and I, we are witnesses. Our lives that we live, the results that you are seeing from us putting God first and keeping God as a part of our marriage and both of our lives individually. These are the results that you're seeing. So if anything, just make sure that you are incorporating and keeping God first in everything that you do. Any last words before we wrap up this segment?
No last words. Well, I guess these are my last words. I'm sorry. Babe, I love you. These first 2 years have been incredible, and I look forward to us spending the rest of our lives together.
Oh, thank you, babe. Same here. Like, it has really been a joy. And I'm looking forward to forever with you. Like, seriously, these 2 years, it just seems like we're just having a lot of fun. We have our serious moments too, but for the most part, I'm glad that God blessed us to be together. Like, is no doubt every day he proves to us why he put us together. So, and I thank God for that.
Yes. So after this short break, we'll wrap it up with our candid tip of the week. Please stay tuned. We will be right back.
Tune in every week during the same time to Candidly Crawford radio show
on Apple Music and WDRB Media,
the voice of the community. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Candidly Crawford radio show. We are back. I am your host, Teresa.
And it's your boy, Nick.
And we are Candidly Crawford, all about God, marriage, life, and everything in between. Well, guys, we didn't even get to the rest of our questions that we had for each other. I think we actually enjoyed this episode, just reflecting back on the last 24 months of marriage for us, and just the lessons that we've learned, not only for us as a married couple, but individually, that hopefully you guys can apply to your lives as well. So we're here with the candid tip of the week, and here is Nick with the candid tip of the week.
So, guys, I'll be reading from the Bible a few verses that we started out in premarital classes, and it stuck with us, and it still sticks with us today. And
it does.
And it is Philippians 2:3-5. It says, "Do not be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble, thinking of others as better than yourselves. Don't look out for your own interests, but take an interest in others too." You have to have the same attitude that Christ Jesus had. And that's how we approach marriage. We don't think about ourselves first. We think about other people. They talk about having a happy wife is a happy life. No, having a happy spouse is a happy house. And so that's what, our takeaway, our candid tip of the week is. Yeah, just think about that.
Yeah, that was great, babe. And that is one scripture, again, that comes from the book of Philippians, chapter 2.
Yes, 3-5.
Verses 3-5. And guys, I will tell you, like, really, that has been it for us. The foundational scripture for our marriage. I would say one of the foundational scriptures for our marriage. So thank you for sharing that, babe.
No problem. And guys, thank you for joining us for this radio show.
Yes, thank you guys. I know we could have went on and on because we have a lot of lessons we've learned, but hey, thank you for joining us.
And like we say every week,
we are blessed to be a blessing. You almost left me by myself, but
no, I got you.
All right, join us next week, guys. Same time, same place.
All right, peace, guys.
Love y'all. Bye.